Hi, I'm Richard McKenzie, co-author of Microeconomics for MBAs. This video module is going to be on monopoly production. You may recall that we started the course by talking about supply and demand curve, which means that we have a highly competitive market condition in that setting. The demand curve and supply curve looks something like this. The price was determined by P1. This is the market demand curve for the good. But this is not the demand curve of the individual producer. The individual producer has to accept or reject price P1, which means that the individual producer's demand looks something like this, that it is horizontal. We also deduced that the marginal revenue curve for the individual producer is exactly equal to the demand facing the perfect competitor. For a monopoly, however, the monopoly is the only producer in the market, and that monopoly is protected by prohibitive barriers to entry in the extreme case of pure monopoly. That means that the monopolist faces the downward sloping market demand curve, which means, of course, that the monopolist can choose any one of these price quantity combinations along this curve. That is, it can choose a combination A and sell for a price of P1 and sell a quantity of Q1. Alternatively, it can choose price P2 and quantity Q2 or combination B. For that matter, it can choose combination C, D, E, F, and all up and down this demand curve. The perfect competitor is a price taker. The monopoly is a price searcher. It's got to search through all of these price quantity combinations in order to find that price quantity combination that will maximize firm profits. Now, you can imagine that the marginal revenue curve facing the monopolist is not going to be equal to the demand curve, and we can easily demonstrate that with reference to a table that comes from the textbook. Here we have a monopolist demand schedule. We got various prices and the various quantities that consumers will buy at these various prices. At a price of $11, the monopolist will sell 0 units. So a monopolist is restricted in the price it can charge, because at some very high price it will sell absolutely nothing. At a price of $10, it can sell 1 unit, which means that then its total revenue will equal to $10. The marginal revenue, the additional revenue acquired from selling that 1 unit, is equal to $10. The monopolist can lower its price, and by lowering it $1, it can sell an additional unit, which means its total revenues will go to $18, or 9 times 2. Its marginal revenue is the difference between 10 and 18, or its marginal revenue is going to be $8 on that third unit. At $8, it can sell 3 units, or $24. Its marginal revenue is 6, and we can go down the line: 28, 30, 30 again, 28, 24, 18, and 10. In which case, the marginal revenue goes from 6 to 4 to 2 to 0 to -2, and then to -4, -6, and -8. Now, the demand curve is these 2 columns. The marginal revenue curve is going to be a plotting of the quantity column against the marginal revenue column. And we note that, that the demand curve is going to start out at the same point. At a price of $10 and to sell 1 unit, there's going to be a marginal revenue equal to $10. From there on out, however, notice that the marginal revenue is below the price at each point as we go down that curve. The demand curve never goes negative, but the marginal revenue curve does go negative. Now, I know some of you are thinking, how is it that we can increase sales from 1 unit to 2 units And we can sell both of those 2 units at $9, but yet the marginal revenue acquired from selling that second unit is only $8. Well, it's really easily understandable. We sell the second unit for $9, but we have to lose $1 on the first unit. So the net revenue from selling a second unit is going to be $9, the selling price, minus $1 lost on the first unit, or $8. The marginal revenue on the third unit is going to be $6, because we sell the third unit for $8, but we lose $1 on each of the first 2 units, and so 8 minus 2 gives you 6, and so on down the line. Well, anyway, what we want to do is plot these 2 columns to get the demand curve, and plot these 2 columns to get the marginal revenue curve. If we do that, then we come up with a marginal revenue curve and demand curve that looks something like this. That is, the demand curve and marginal revenue curve start out at the same point, close to the vertical axis or on the vertical axis, but then they diverge. The marginal revenue for any quantity is always below the price.